What's he then that says I play the villain?
There's a few ways to think about Iago, and probably one of the most prominent is to say he's the devil.
When devils will the blackest sins put on, they do at first with heavenly shows, as I do now.
And his purpose in this world is to create as much pain and do as much evil as he possibly can. That is a show of power.
He has excuses that he has to tell himself that that's why he's doing this.
For that I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leaped into my seat, the thought whereof doth like a poisonous mineral gnaw my inwards, and nothing can nor shall content my soul till I am evened with him, wife for wife.
But I think he's just a psychopath.
I like the idea of thinking of this as a kind of chess game that Iago plays with himself, because this really does become a game to him.
Rodrigo is very definitively a pawn in that match.
You sacrifice your pawns in order to get your king at the end of the day.
As far as the way that he gets used, Rodrigo actually isn't a bad pawn.
I think Rodrigo is used in the play to accomplish a number of things. First, he is a really easy person to manipulate.
Now, Lieutenant!
So he helps Iago get money, he helps Iago get Cassio, and he also provides a lot of comic relief. And Shakespeare likes to include a lot of comedy in the tragedies.
Rodrigo is this sort of wealthy, slightly ineffective noble. He's just sort of madly, crazily in love with Desdemona, who doesn't even recognize that Rodrigo exists, which makes it that much more horrifying and tragic that Iago ultimately kills Rodrigo.
The game he plays with Rodrigo sort of foreshadows the game he's going to play with Othello, but the stakes are much higher with Othello. Othello is the king, and the end game is to topple the king.
Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster that doth mock the meat it feeds on.
Jealousy. Jealousy is great. Shakespeare is brilliant, and the reason we're still doing his plays 400 plus years later is because he writes about basic human emotion. There was jealousy back then, there's been jealousy through the ages, there's jealousy now.
What's interesting to me about the jealousy in Othello is that it's totally driven by deceit. We see Iago totally destroy the love between Othello and Desdemona.
I'll pour this pestilence into his ear, that she repeals Cassio for her body's lust.
Othello is so easily deceived because he's insecure. I mean, I think Desdemona is probably the first woman that he's actually loved, and they've just gotten married.
He's new to the whole love game. Iago rightly figures out he'll be new to the whole jealousy game, and it will take him down.
One of the big questions people ask about Othello is why does his mind change so quickly? Othello is very much an outsider. He's sort of different culturally from everybody else, and that's a big part of why he ends up walking down the path that he does in this play.
Deception is something fierce. His pride and his confidence are completely gone by the end.
I think Othello would describe himself as a hard worker. He is honest. He believes the best in people and trusts that people will hold up their side of the bargain, their honor, and so he does the same. Everything about Othello that makes him who he is comes into question. And the fact that he is someone of other ilk ultimately makes you insecure no matter what, no matter how successful you are.
And it helps to get rid of the queen.
Desdemona is completely out of her element, and she loves Othello, and I think she believes so strongly in that love. But she's in this foreign place. Everybody starts behaving strangely, and so she's vulnerable. Everybody's vulnerable.
Emilia, she loves Iago and had at one time felt like they were in a loving relationship. At the beginning of the play, that they're in a rough patch. But I think that Emilia thinks that it's all going to work out. And part of that is her showing him the handkerchief.
What I think is really interesting about the play is he doesn't really know what he's going to do. He even has a speech where he says, "'Tis here but yet confused." He doesn't quite know what his plan is. And these things keep falling in his lap.
Desdemona does tell a lie, tell a little white lie, and does not tell Othello that she has lost the handkerchief.
I have assault, and sorry room offends me. Lend me thy handkerchief.
Here, my lord.
That which I gave you.
I have it not about me.
Not?
No, indeed, my lord.
That's a fault.
She says, well, I don't have it right now, which is true. She's not lying so much as protecting her honor, because after he tells her the story about the significance of the handkerchief.
That handkerchief did an Egyptian to my mother give. She was a charmer and could almost read the thoughts of people. She told her, while she kept it, 'twould make her amiable and subdue my father entirely to her love. But if she lost it, or made a gift of it, my father's eye should hold her loathed, and his spirits should hunt after new fancies. She, dying, gave it me, and bid me when my fate would have me wived to give it her. I did so, and take heed on't. Make it a darling like your precious eye.
And she realizes that, oh my God, if I did really lose this handkerchief, this could be really bad. So she decides to stall by saying, well, I don't know where, it's not here now, but I'll get it later.
It's gone? Speak! Is that the way?
Heaven bless us!
Say you.
It is not lost. But what if it were?
How?
I say it is not lost.
Fetch, let me see it.
Why, so I can, but I will not now.
Desdemona not being 100% honest with Othello about the handkerchief kind of is what leads the play to unravel. It plants a seed in Othello's head that maybe she did lose the handkerchief, or maybe she did give it to Cassio like Iago said she did.
The great failing, and it's the first time in the entire play, is when he fails to take out Cassio the knight in shining armor. He fails to take him out, and that is the end of Iago.
When we're in that bedroom and we see Desdemona's dead body, and Emilia enters, and Othello presents all of the information to Emilia and to the other men who enter the room. He had my wife's handkerchief. Emilia understands how that handkerchief came in Cassio's possession. She is the only person who can solve this problem for us.
That handkerchief thou speak'st of, I found by fortune and did give my husband. For often with a solemn earnestness he begged of me to steal it. She give it Cassio, no. Alas, I found it, and I did give my husband.
Filth, thou liest!
By heaven, I do not. I do not, gentlemen.
Final scene when he's in there and Emilia's giving him hell it's the first time he's quiet. And Shakespeare does not give Iago a lot of lines, because he knows he's trapped. He is madly thinking of a way out of this corner, how to get back in this chess game. And so what he does is he sort of has a suicide mission and allows himself to be caught, but takes everybody down with him.
In most of the tragedies, we get to enjoy the villain's death, but not so here. And not only does he not die, but Shakespeare draws attention to it. Iago says, stabbed, but not killed. And Othello announces, well, if you're the devil, I can't kill you.
He kills him, though, in a sense, because he's the second largest part in all of Shakespeare. And he says, his last line is, from this time forth, I never will speak word. So in a sense, Shakespeare kills him.
You cannot kill the devil, which means you can't get rid of evil in this world. And I think that's the point. Iago is allowed to stay alive because evil still exists in the world.